Okay, hello everybody. My name's Jameson Chase Young. This is Coins in History. Please stick around to the end because we're going to be talking about the atomic bomb, but I interviewed a World War II ace fighter pilot who actually witnessed the first Hiroshima atomic bomb. So at the end of this video, I am going to post a few minutes of that interview because that happened in 1945, and we're talking about the 1945 Walking Liberty Philadelphia Mint. Now, it's obviously, they're affectionately known as the Walkers. And, you know, they're obviously some of the most prettiest coins in all of American history. It's obviously probably why they brought them back for the American Silver Eagles that everybody loves so much. They spent 31 years being the United States' silver half dollar from 1916 to 1947. They replaced the Barber half dollar, and they got replaced by the Benjamin Franklin. The guy who designed this appealing front, his name was Adolph Weinman. Now, the ones from the teens and the 20s, they are more rare and they're older, so people seem to like those a lot more, and they do go for a lot more. Where the ones in the 30s and 40s, you know, one like this, you know, you can usually pick up for spot price plus a dollar or two or a couple bucks. But I personally like to attach the history to the coin, and with 1945, you don't get much more historic than that. This coin was with the country through 2 world wars, a Great Depression, and this particular year, 1945, was, you know, the year we won World War II. So you don't get too much more historic than that. I'd like to read over for you some of the stats. The Philadelphia Mint, it minted 31,502,000. And all of the 1945 combined, Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, minted over 51,624,800. That makes it the third most common. 1942 and 1943 have it beat out. 1943 minted almost 78 million, and 1942 minted around 71.5 million. So it is a very common date, but regardless, it's a very historical date, and its diameter is 30.6. Its weight is 12.5 grams. It's 90% silver, 10% copper, and its silver content is 0.36169 / 0.36 is what everybody says. So that is the 1945 Walking Liberty Philadelphia Mint. So now I'd like to talk to you about the atomic bomb, and also give you a few minutes of that interview of Don McPherson, one of the few surviving World War II ace fighter pilots, when he actually witnessed the atomic bomb being dropped on Hiroshima. The making of the first atomic bomb was called the Manhattan Project. It was headquartered out of Manhattan, but most of the actual, designing of the bomb was done in Los Alamos, New Mexico. The Manhattan Project was a program set up during World War II, and it was to produce the first atomic bomb. It was started in 1942. It was done under the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It was directed by Major General Leslie Groves, and then it was Robert Oppenheimer was the lead nuclear physicist and the director at Los Alamos Laboratories. Now, Robert Oppenheimer, he's a very unique character. I'll probably do an entire other video on him. He was born in New York in 1904. He died in 1967. He went to Harvard and he got his doctorate in Germany. So, I think he was always very conflicted about the bomb. He said several conflicting things. On one hand, he said that his only regret was that, he didn't get it done in time to bomb Germany. On the other hand, he obviously has that famous saying where he says, "I have become death, destroyer of worlds." So, I'm sure on one hand, he ended the biggest war in history early. On the other hand, his invention, killed a lot of people. So I'm sure it is a very conflicting thing. I'll probably do a whole other video just on him. But anyway, it's in Los Alamos where they enriched the uranium and the plutonium that was used as fuel for the nuclear weapon. The first nuclear device was detonated. It was an implosion type bomb. It was during the Trinity test. Trinity, it was done at the White Sands Proving Grounds in New Mexico, July 16, 1945. And that bomb on July 16, 1945, it was nicknamed the Gadget. The first atomic bomb used in warfare, it was nicknamed Little Boy. And it was delivered, as far as it was taken out of San Francisco and delivered by a USS Navy destroyer, a US destroyer called the USS Indianapolis. Once again, I'll probably do an entire video on the USS Indianapolis because I actually interviewed and talked to a guy who was one of the 317 survivors of the USS Indianapolis. And they delivered the bomb to Tinian. It was a simple design. It just fired a piece of uranium into another piece of uranium. That triggered an explosion of about 15 kilotons. From the island of Tinian, it was flown out by a B-29 superfortress named the Enola Gay. It was dropped on the city of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, right around 8:15 a.m. Now, it was detonated around 14 to 1,500 feet above ground. They did that for the same reason, like, you know, if you had a frag grenade on the ground, all of the, you know, little ruts in the ground and the tree stumps and all that stuff would help shield the blast. Where if the frag grenade was, you know, floating in midair, the blast and the shrapnel would rain down on top of everybody. Well, same concept with the nuclear weapon. If it hit the ground, all the hills and the buildings and the trees would help shield the blast and it wouldn't cause as much damage. So when it detonated 1,500 feet in the air, the blast rained down on top of Hiroshima and created a lot more damage. And the tactic worked. A huge double-digit percentage of Hiroshima was destroyed. By year's end, over an estimated 140,000 deaths. And the second atomic bomb was obviously dropped on Nagasaki.
But anyway, they found out they knew that they had rail ferries that were carrying supplies back and forth, you know, from Hanshi to Kokado. And so we attacked those one day. We had 6 of them, and we think 4 of them, and damaged the 5th one, but they got it beached, so it didn't sink. We hit mostly on the northern islands and going back to Tokyo on the mid-island and so forth. But after, at one point that, and I don't remember the date on that, but we got to see the first atomic bomb dropped. Our ship the fleet was told they were intending to go into that area that day, and then notified not to go there, but they weren't told why. And so we had been on a strike, I think on Honshu that day, and we got back, and I just got up to my bunk room, and they announced over the loudspeakers. They said, if you look to the west, you see a mushroom cloud. The United States had dropped the first atomic bomb. We didn't even know there was such thing as an atomic bomb. We weren't close enough to see the second one. But to the end then, why they started, we kind of heard that they were thinking about talking peace, you know, and so then one day we were heading toward this airfield in west of Tokyo that we'd hit several times, and we just got over land around Tokyo, and we got a notice on the radio to get back over the ocean and jettison our bombs or rockets, get rid of our ammunition, that the ceasefire had been called. So we did what they told us to. Then we split up and was doing crazy acrobatics and stuff, you know, to celebrate. Wonder we didn't run into each other. And but we flew quite a bit. Then the next 2 weeks, they weren't supposed to fly anything.
Anyway, that's the world that the 1945 Walking Liberty Philadelphia Mint came from. And I love these coins. I got way too many of them. I got 4 or 5 of the Philadelphia mints alone. I'd like to get, 4 or 5 dozen more. So It's one of the most beautiful coins in all of American history. I love it. I also love the American Silver Eagles that are designed after it. And my name is Jameson Chase Young. This is Coins in History. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.